Our next guest is the lead singer of the band, Nathaniel Rateliff and the Night Sweats, and he will be speaking here at South by Southwest tomorrow on a panel called Music and the Movement. Please welcome Nathaniel Rateliff to the South by Southwest studio. Thank you, sir, for being here.
Thank you for having me.
How does it feel to be with people at a festival during a pandemic, no less?
Well, yeah, it's been, it's nice to be able to see a large group of friends that are, from all over in one place again.
Without a Zoom, without not behind a screen.
Yeah, exactly.
We still got our masks, some of us do, but
Yeah, some of us do.
Some of us do, it's still a pandemic.
Yeah.
But we're actually here for the first time. Actually, South by Southwest Live is doing this in 3 years. So it's a pleasure to see you here. And I know everyone wants to talk about your music. We'll get to your music. But you, sir, have used your music and the success of your music to actually give back. Tell us about the Marigold Project.
Well, we are. Sorry.
This is South by.
Yeah.
You gain 10 pounds in 5 days. You don't sleep, and you just keep going.
Well, the Marigold Project is an endowment that is focused on racial, social, and economic justice. We started a few years back. I think it's been 4 years now that we've been doing it. And yeah, we continue to give out grants at the end of the year to support organizations all across the U.S.
And it's a diverse. I mean, you really help. You've helped everyone from Sierra Club to Farm Aid to Trans Lifeline to Homies Unidos, Colorado Immigration Rights Coalition. I mean, this is intersectional in a big way.
Yeah.
Because usually people, usually artists are like, that's my cause. I'll just focus on the earth.
Right.
I'll just focus on workers. But you're going all in across the board. Talk about this intersectional type of investment in all these different communities.
Well, I think there's a lot of work to be done, and we're lucky to have built relationships with lots of different organizations, across Colorado and the U.S. and kind of continue to learn from them and to see how we can continue to help. So you've heard this before, when there's artists, especially in this time in America, who use their platform, and with artists I include celebrities, just shut up and sing. Just shut up. Just shut up. Right. I love S.O.B. Great video, great song, soulful music. You got me tapping my foot. Why do you got to talk about this economic justice and racial justice? Well, it's partially, I feel it's a responsibility for artists to continue to talk about the perspective they see the world from. And there's a lot of things changing right now and a lot of things happening, and I think it's important to be involved and to have a voice. And I'm fortunate enough to be the one with the microphone, so if people disagree with me, I think it's fine for people to not agree with what we have to say. And I think it's something we continue to lose, is the ability to have conversations that vary opinions without disliking the person from having a different view than you do yourself. So.
Because your music, it's sometimes, to me, it's uncategorizable, and that's a compliment, because it blends in so much of America. Right. And the audience that come out to see you get a beautiful cross section of America, and some of that is an audience that listens to even the word racial justice, shuts down.
Right.
And they're like, and then they say, what? No, he's the musician guy. He's also for Black Lives Matter. He's also for immigrants. He's also for trans youth. What? Nah, I'm done. And there is a fear there then for the artist that, I'm going to alienate my audiences. Right. So how do you navigate that? Are you at the stage of your career where you're like, this is who I am, come check it out, and if not, that's okay. You go away. I just continue to do what I feel is best, and I'm just trying to be a part of my community, and my community is made up of a lot of different people from different demographics. And part of the problem we have in America right now is that the American story is not a story it's not an immigrant story, and that's what it should be. None of us are really from here. And so for people to shut down about talking about different demographics or the way they view themselves and their communities, and even music is all inspired. The food, the culture we have here is because of people from all over the world, you know, and I think that's what makes America beautiful.
Well, you're saying it's the immigrant story, but there's some immigrants who are accepted, right?
Exactly.
Some immigrants who are American, the Rust Belt, the Heartland, the Common Man, you know, Main Street, and then some immigrants are told go back.
Right, but I think that's partially the problem. Like I said, I think that we should all have a different view of ourselves. So.
And expand the narrative. You know, you have an amazing origin story. I love origin stories where right now you're in Denver, you have this diverse community, but you came from the I would say the white evangelical community. You came from Missouri.
Yeah, very rural area as well. So
rural, and you, I mean, when I say it wasn't just like, oh, you were from that community, I mean, you were really in it, like the evangelical church. That inspired you growing up, right? I mean, you were part and parcel of it. And I was reading that the church, the Bible studies, just a huge influence on you. And then there was a shift in a way, and we'll talk about that. You picked up a record.
Right.
The John Lennon record. What happened?
Well, I think when I had first ever heard Imagine, you know, my parents wrote religious music and performed it in church, and that was the beginnings of my relationship with music, was playing in church. But then when I started to hear Imagine, and it was stuck in my head as a child, and I remember my dad telling me not to sing it because it was a very humanistic song. And that kind of was just like that didn't make sense to me. And then, you know, I was like, well, if God created music, why is this song so much better than what we're doing in church? You know, but I still feel that, like, growing up and being involved in the church is important. I feel like the foundation of the principles that the Bible and other religious texts preach are, you know, when they talk about love and understanding and compassion, I think those are all things that are important to me and that I still try to better understand and actively engage in my life. So.
I'm Muslim, but I went to an all-boy Jesuit Catholic high school, naturally, as one does.
Yeah.
As one does. In the Bay Area, we have to do 100 hours of community service because the motto is meant for others.
Right.
You live your faith through service, right? And so you've had this evolution with faith, and when I'm listening to your music, I hear it. I hear the church. I hear the gospel.
Right.
It's one of those things where I feel like the roots are still there, even in the service that you do, but even in your music. Is that an overreach on my part? That's just in my analysis of just listening.
I mean, I still try to focus on hope and, you know, trying to bless people with music. I think when I'm on stage, and like even your question earlier about the shut up and sing, my job as a performer is to bring people together, and they get to have a human experience together that, you know, regardless of what their backgrounds are, they're there to see something that they both enjoy and get to have that experience together regardless of their beliefs.
But also, you know, the different people, oftentimes people just say, oh, it's ethnic differences, religious differences. There's differences when it comes to immigrant, non-immigrant, but there's also difference when it comes to class. And,
right.
and in your story and journey, yeah, you picked up the John Lennon CD, and that was a change. But there was also change when you're a young man. You're like, I'm going to leave school and I'm going to be a trucker. I'm going to work. You know, do blue collar jobs like, you know, garden, construction, trucking, and then you moved to Denver.
Correct. Yeah.
And so you were working side by side with a lot of Americans who are oftentimes forgotten.
Yeah. I mean, you know, the story is a little more complicated than that. But yeah, when I left school, you know, it seemed like the right thing to do at the time, so I never got a high school education, and you know, I grew up in a working class family, and so those are, you know, that was my worldview, and that's what I knew I had skill and ability to do. I didn't have an education or even a bachelor's to even, you know, move into management at a trucking company that I was at for 11 years.
So you were just stuck at the low level.
Yeah, I was I can drive a trailer backwards all day. So
my friend, that is a talent.
It's a great skill.
That is a talent that I do not have. You should flex with that.
But yeah, you know, you know, those were the skills that I was given, and I feel like being raised to have a great work ethic was important to me, and it affected the way I work in music and in my community now. And you're right. I got to be around a lot of people, especially in Denver. that represent a lot of different communities and people from all over. You know, I worked with a guy from Haiti. I worked from other folks from different parts of Mexico, and we all ended up on the same truck dock together. You know, and we're all doing the same job, and so, you know, and I worked with other guys there that didn't see that way. You know, so it was a journey for me too, and a great learning experience.
And, you know, as you're on this journey, and again, you're telling me that your parents deeply rooted in tradition and one viewpoint.
Yeah.
To the point where even John Lennon's Imagine, it's seen as a threat.
Right.
And here their son says, well, I'm going to not only listen to John Lennon and be inspired by the music, but I'm also going to leave this community and go forth and travel all the way to Denver.
Right.
And so when they're seeing this arc, you know, what was their response to this particular part of your journey?
Well, my initial move to Denver was actually to work with a Christian organization called Youth with a Mission. And so I was there, they call it YWAM. We ended up working with the Hopi natives, and that really was the thing that changed me. So my initial leaving was to go spread the word of God.
So your parents were like, go forth, young son.
Yeah, I wasn't even living with them at the time, so. But yeah, you know, in working with the Hopis, I discovered something else that is around for much longer than Christianity, and that sparked my curiosity to better understand history and the levels of history and who's writing it, and from what perspective the story is being told, and to try to, you know, that's another part of things I love and has been a part of this journey, is to like better understand cultures and the history that cultures have and their stories.
But it explains the richness in your music too, because, you know, just understanding where you've come from, you've literally worked side by side. Literally, you've built and you've created with different parts of America. Right. And you've heard their stories, they heard your story. And I feel that influence in your music, where it's different stories, different genres kind of come together as a bouillabaisse.
Right.
Right? So it's hard to categorize. And I feel like, is that somewhere where you sit there intentionally as an artist, you go, I'm going to take from this, I'm going to take from that, I'm going to take from that? Or is it much more organic and unconscious, where this is just who I am, is going to come out through the music?
I think it's just who I am. I don't intentionally try to, you know, appropriate stuff from other songs or even different cultures' music, but I'm certainly influenced by it. And you know, and I'm still very curious of different types of music, and my, you know, the ability to find music is really changed. And so, you know, even with something like Spotify, or whereas before you'd have to like dig through records all day to find stuff from
like this.
South Africa or Cuba, like all of that stuff is readily available and easy to find just by searching for it with, you know, on the internet. And so that's been a blessing, you know, and luckily I still have friends who are wild about all sorts of types of music, and so I'm just so curious about what's out there, you know.
You know, as this young kid who was growing up in Missouri, who picked up that John Lennon track, the song Imagine, and who had the background in music, did you ever think you fast forward a few years, I'd be that guy?
Well, I wouldn't say I'm John Lennon, but, you know.
But a guy. Brittany, or as you saw, your super fan, she's like, I was telling you before, you know, we've had like 50 plus interviews, and everyone geeks out over someone, but then when she found out you're coming, she's like, what?
Oh, that's wonderful.
I have gone to his concerts. He's coming. Amazing. Great. Please make sure that we do an introduction. So you have that impact. You have those fans. That, I mean, did you ever imagine to have that type of impact as that 16-year-old boy in Missouri?
No, I didn't think that was a possibility. I didn't think I would, you know, life was pretty hard, so I didn't really plan on being here for very long either. So I feel like I've been blessed in the time that I have been here, and I'm, you know, working hard to make sure that I can stay a lot longer.
We share that. I thought I'd never get past 35. What was the timeline for you?
I thought 27.
Wow, that is super specific.
And then I thought 36.
These are interesting numbers. Usually people go 40, 35. I've never heard 27 and 36. Why 27?
Well, 27 is a pretty famous rock and roll year for people to die.
Well, there you go.
So.
And then how about 36?
My dad didn't make it past 36. So, yeah.
And well, my friend, you're living, you're thriving, and you're thriving not only through your music, but also with Marigold Project. Again, fantastic work.
Thank you.
What is it, what problem are you looking at right now? A major problem in America that you feel like, okay, deeply worried about this? I have the means, I have the project, I have the resources, I can do something, and I can actually come up with a solution for this challenge.
Well, you know, the way we approach things is actually trying to work with other organizations that are a little more in tune with a solution. We come into those situations trying to listen and see how we can help, not necessarily coming in with an answer, because we don't have the answers to every situation, even though we're involved with a pretty broad range of issues. I feel Western water conservation is really important. We started working with an organization in Arizona that's a young Native organization, and since they're already involved with water rights, you really kind of need some of the Native peoples and ranchers to come together to figure out what we're going to do, you know. And I think it's a pretty complicated issue that, you know, we're happy to try to help and figure out. So.
Water, land, sustainable food, restoring the land, keeping the land. I mean, these are conversations that are going to be unfortunately at the forefront thanks to climate change.
Yeah.
And the fact that you're doing it at a local level in America, I really appreciate it. Unfortunately, with climate change, as you have seen, our politicians, regardless of what aisle they're on, aren't moving as fast as they need to move to save the earth. If you had a message for them, if you had a message for our elected officials to do something, what would it be? Don't worry, it's a safe space. No one else is here.
Right, right.
Yeah. But if you could, like, you know, say, hey, this is something that you could do, you could get behind, what would be the message?
Just stop thinking of your job as a career and remember that you serve the people, and that's the only reason you're an elected official.
My friend, that's good enough. Next for you, when it comes to music, what can people expect? Where can they hear you?
Well, we have a new record we put out in November, and we'll be touring this year. I think we just made some announcements of dates, and excited to get back out there and have some friends out on the road with us. And then hopefully just, you know, we keep making music, and so hopefully have another record out sometime next year.
Wow, you're just cranking it out, man.
You
make me feel bad. I get proud when I make a Lego set for my son. You crank out 2 albums within a year's time frame in a pandemic, while also doing Marigold.
Yeah.
And for people who have listened or like inspired by what Marigold is doing, how can they support Marigold Project?
They can find everything they need to about Marigold Project at NathanielRateliff.com. So.
And also tour dates.
Correct. Yeah.
You could get 2 for 1. You're at South by, I have to ask you this, South by in Austin. South by was put on the map due to music.
Yeah.
Now there's tech and there's innovation and there, you know, food, of course. But when you come here, I'm sure you're listening to bands, you're looking at bands. If there's a band or an artist that really excites you here, would you mind giving them a shout out?
You know, I'm really just looking forward to seeing my friends who are coming. And even like last minute, you know, I saw...
You can shout out your friends if you're musicians.
I saw Matt Vasquez from Delta Spirit this morning, and I know they're doing some stuff. I know Kevin Morby and Waxahachie, Katie Crutchfield will be here. Going to get to do some stuff with Willie Nelson while I'm here, which is always a blessing.
Oh, Willie, the up-and-coming artist?
The up-and-coming Willie, yeah.
It's
hard
he has
to give
a future.
Him a shout-out. Yeah.
He has a future, that Willie. I heard he has a nice beard and smokes a certain herb that people seem to enjoy, you're like, and also, I got to ask you this. It's a South by question, but indulge me. You're in Austin. When you come here, what do you eat? You're like, I got to eat this.
Well, I mean, food culture here has changed so much in the past few years, and the city's grown so much. There's a lot to kind of dive into. I know a buddy has a favorite ramen spot that I want to go to, but it doesn't really sound that refreshing to eat a bunch of ramen right now. It's like...
But you're going to eat it.
I'm going to, yeah.
Of course.
Yeah.
Even though it is not refreshing, I shall go forth
and
eat this ramen.
Yeah. So.
Thank you so much for joining us. I really appreciate it. I appreciate the work you're doing. You're here at South by to talk about Marigold Project. Can you let people know where they can come hear you speak?
We are at the Convention Center tomorrow at 2 Nope. 11:30.
At 11:30, we got it. South by Southwest attendees, you can come hear all about the Marigold Project tomorrow, 2:30, Convention Center. If you want to find out more about the Marigold Project and about Nathaniel's music, you can go to nathanielrateliff.com.
Yep, that's 11:30 and Rateliff.
Rateliff, what? Oh, these ethnic names, they're so difficult.
It's a tough one, yeah.
I'm sorry, I'm a wajahat who messed it up. So.
Yeah, that's all right.
What did I just call you? I called you, did I just do
Rateliff, that's all right.
Oh my God.
Yeah.
Woo. Ooh,
It's been a long,
your publicist is like, never again, never again. Thank you, sir. Thank you for tolerating me and my exhaustion. I appreciate it. Thanks for being here. Thank you all for watching. Again, Nathaniel Rateliff is here. Go to his website, check out the music, check out the album, check out Marigold Project, check out his talk tomorrow, 11:30 a.m. at the Convention Center in Ballroom ENF. You can watch all of our studio interviews on the South by Southwest TV app, available on Apple TV, Roku, Android TV, and Amazon Fire. These interviews are also available on our YouTube channel at youtube.com/SXSW. And for a complete list of our interview schedule, check out SXSW.com/studio. I'm Wajat Ali. Thank you for watching.